President Kashim Shettima advocates more funding for resilience in disaster management.
Every investment in resilience is in truth an investment in the lives and futures of our people. We do not have to look far to understand this message.
National Assembly commences public hearing on electoral acts.
The law we make today must correct the weakness of yesterday and prepare the ground for the victories of tomorrow.
New legislation to accelerate growth of Nigeria's downstream petroleum industry underway.
All right.
Sorry. Well, this is Good Morning Nigeria. Today we shall be examining preventing lead poisoning. So, lead poisoning occurs when lead builds up in the body, often months or years, and can cause serious health problems. And of course, children are especially vulnerable to lead poisoning, which can severely affect mental and physical development.
Yes, of course. Lead poisoning, not talked about much. That's why you need to stay put for this conversation. Now, the primary prevention of lead poisoning is the removal of lead hazards from the environment.
So in addition to keeping surfaces clean, prevention also involves ensuring healthy diet rich in iron, calcium, and vitamin C.
Well said. And other prevention measures include washing hands and toys frequently, and also run tap water on whatever it is that you intend to put in your mouth.
Exactly. It's also advisable to remove shoes at the doorsteps and wipe feet before entering the house to avoid, tracking lead dust from the soil.
Prevention also calls for caution with herbs and remedies. I mean, some call it agbo, some call it all kinds of names. I'm sure you can help me with that. All right. Well, all of these professionals, or if you like, experts have said, should be properly, looked into before being consumed.
Exactly. And of course, primary prevention of lead poisoning, they say, is removal of lead hazards from our environment, before a person is led, or is exposed to it. So it is on that note to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. And I'm Claire Adilabu Abdul Razak. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Henry John. It's a beautiful Tuesday. We expect you to stay with us on Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. And as you know, this is the largest TV network in Africa. Chukwudi Okoli Ogbaja will join us shortly for the newspaper review. But for now, let's have the morning news. And Frama Panyi has that. Frama, good morning to you.
Good morning, Henry. Good morning, Claire. Good morning, Nigerians. Here's the morning news. Vice President Kashim Shettima is optimistic that with more funding in building resilience among communities prone to flooding and other forms of disasters, the risk incurred in the event of disasters would have been tremendously reduced. Senator Shettima stated this at the 2025 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction with the theme, Fund Resilience, Not Disaster.
Every naira we spend today on preparedness saves many more tomorrow on response and recovery. Every investment in resilience is in truth an investment in the lives and futures of our people. We do not have to look far to understand this message.
The 2025 general election may be a new experience to Nigerians, going by amendments being canvassed in the Electoral Act. Some highlights of the amendment propose conduct of presidential and governorship election by November 2026 and conclusion of all election litigation before swearing in.
Experience has taught us that perfection is a pursuit, not a possession. The law we make today must correct the weakness of yesterday and prepare the ground for the victories of tomorrow.
Our democracy rests on the credibility of our elections, and unless these contests are freer, fairer, cheaper, and less contentious, we endanger the Fourth Republic.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives says legislations are underway to accelerate the growth of Nigeria's downstream petroleum industry. This was at the opening of the maiden annual Downstream Petroleum Week in Abuja.
Nigerians therefore expect certain deliverables from this conference, especially as they concern the prevalent infrastructure deficit, solutions to energy security issues, pipeline vandalism, and dubious pricing.
Igala indigenes of Kogi State visits the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, highlighting their daily struggles with infrastructure and opportunities in Kogi East. They echoed grievances as key political partners seeking support.
For the ministerial appointment, another appointment. We were talking of major critical political appointment that will enable us to go back to our people and herald the policies and programs of Mr. President.
And those are the news highlights. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Yeri and Claire after this message.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira would be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
The energy from breakfast doesn't last my child the whole day. By halftime, they are low on energy. That's why break time is the right time to re-energize. It's that break time energy that helps keep your champ in the game.
Pack the nourishing energy of Milo with a great taste into the lunchbox every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo! No buy am! But why?
why? No, see, say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal.
Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
And the National Productivity Order of Merit Award goes to...
The only tomato paste manufacturer to win the National Productivity Order of Merit Award by the federal government of Nigeria. Endorsed by the Association of Private Medical Practitioners of Nigeria.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need am.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point oh.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer.
Na money point oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as Sure Banker. Progress na small wind where they carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mo go Bible.
Victor, even you they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
TerraCube is available in beef, chicken, jollof, and crayfish flavors in 50 cubes Saver Pack and 100 cubes Super Saver Pack.
TerraCube, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. And newspaper review will be next. Don't go away.
And oh yes, we have Chukwudi Okoli Ugbaja with us again this morning. Good to see you, Chukwudi.
Same here. How are you doing?
Very well.
Good morning. Claire?
Yes.
Morning.
Good morning. You called my name much better today.
Claire?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
You have to separate it
clarity
from...
in
you have to separate it from Claire. That is C-L-E-A-R. Yours is Claire. Okay?
Enough of the English class. Maybe we should get into the papers now. I'll begin with the blueprint. Is that fine?
we're in the business of
It's
broadcasting
okay,
in
Claire.
English. Right. She needs to know that our business here is in English.
I agree, but
The
I mean, but
spoken
that's
word.
that's not a job this
The
morning.
ultimate is clarity.
Precisely.
Everybody
So,
must understand you.
Yeri, please go ahead.
I refuse to be bullied this morning by the two elders on set. So let's look at what the blueprint has here. The lead story is on 2027, and it says National Assembly proposes November 2026 for presidential governorship posts. 6. Conclusion of litigations before inauguration. Stakeholders demand electronic voting results transmission. All right, Chikade, you want to speak on that? That happens to be the lead story. November 2026 for presidential and governorship polls. Is that too early? Or we should stick with the February, March, as it used to be?
You have to study the purpose we hope to achieve by, taking it to November. One of the things they said is, let us ensure that all litigations are handled before inauguration, which makes a point. But then, how much does it make room for readiness? Even when you go the usual May and all that, there are still complaints about there are no boats to ferry election materials across creeks and all that. So if we are in for it, if we are thinking about making it November 2026, then we must really put on our boots of readiness to ensure that there's no lagging, in the matter.
But is there a reason why this has been,
concluding litigations was
basically
cited. It was cited, really.
Okay.
I've not gone deep into it, but at least that was mentioned.
Okay. You have other stories?
Yes, other ones here. Of course, the ASU strike. I'm sure that should be on all the papers this morning. It says federal government directs varsity visits to ensure no work, no pay enforcement.
And ASU says we are not intimidated by no work, no pay.
It has a rider here, the leadership newspaper that is also leading with that story has two riders to that. It says, as government orders vice chancellors to enforce anti-strike policy, strike paralyzes activities across campuses nationwide. The no work, no pay threat by...
Has it worked in the past? Will it work this time?
ASU.
I don't know. Well, it has not worked in the past, but it doesn't imply that all the time ASU would return and still get their monies back. Yeah. Because come to think of it, if you don't work, why would I pay you? Why would I pay you if you don't do your work?
We're talking about agreements that were done years ago that, should have been implemented by now. And, there've been talks before now. It's suspected that, they should have, both sides should have reached, an agreement on, the previous agreements, just so that this can be averted in the first place.
The government claims that they have met a reasonable amount of the agreements. That's what they say, really.
This is 2025? And what year were these agreements made?
There are
Shouldn't it be 100% by now?
There are three major...
Are you getting 100% of money you need to live?
Three major demands by ASU.
Yes.
One is to enforce the 2009 agreement. That has lingered.
2009 is the genie in the bottle.
Yes, it has lingered. Yes. Every ASU strike, comes with every ASU strike. The other two, one are the lecturers. They mentioned particular, universities, institutions where some lecturers are still being allegedly, victimized, probably because of strike and all that. But what I like to say is, find the no work, no pay is a policy. It can be activated, by government when it deems, that the ASU, has overstepped its bound. But also, I ask, what happens when government reneges on its own,
agreement?
How does
government has reneged on its own part of the agreement several times, but just like they talk to you, who's a salaried person, these are the reasons. You won't get a 450,000 naira minimum wage and all. It's still the same thing happening all over. The funds are supposedly not there, So it's a matter of how much I believe the reasons you are giving me. Because the reasons are a plethora. There are so many, particularly in a struggling economy like ours. Thank God that things are beginning to look up, as it were, Anyway, so the reasons have always been there.
Anyway, we've been having too many strikes. I mean, it's strike here, strike there, almost every sector. So really, I think it's high time we looked at that and, checked other ways of resolving deadlocks.
I agree with you.
And particularly with the teachers. I mean, these are teachers. I mean, they're training this generation and the next. It's important that they're well taken care of. That's what I feel. And, I mean, considering what they earn.
It's also important that every worker is taken care of. Not just
I should not glibly say this as a journalist, but I want to think that the demands I see most of the time has to do with the comfort, welfare of the lecturers. What about research funds? Why are they not talking about that? Things that would help them develop the communities they are in, develop the country as a whole, and not just their own welfare. Because that would be as valid as their own comfort. That's it. Well, a doctor that says, pay me well, but he doesn't have equipment to work with, is talking nonsense.
By the way, I hear that TED Fund is doing well in that regard anyway. So
TED Fund.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So the percentage actually
I think but one thing that the union leaders say they are willing to, meet again, that they're willing to dialogue. So that's a caveat there for the government.
By the way, welfare comes before research. If you're not well, you can't do research.
I cringe from arguments with you because I never win any.
Let's move on and look at other stories. Make peace with bandits. Again, Sheikh Gumi tells Tinubu. This morning when I was coming, I had little time to watch other international stations to see what's happening around the world. And I know you talked about it as soon as you came in. So I really want to say kudos, as you would say.
Kudos.
Yeah. That's English again. To Donald Trump. Yeah. For me, he's won my heart for what has happened.
He's always won
Gaza.
your heart.
No.
To my chagrin.
No.
My chagrin.
The almost 2,000 prisoners released, Palestinian prisoners released, and 20 hostages released.
Living hostages
released.
Yes.
That's remarkable. Hoping that the second round of peace talks ongoing now, in Egypt, would also materialize.
I don't like pretending even on the air. I'm not one of Trump's fans, but whether you like it or not, this is a major achievement. Trust him. Some chest beating happened,
Yeah. But
World War III has been practically averted. He has a way of calling attention to.
You know what I would also appeal to President Trump. From me, you have the Nobel Peace Prize, but please look also to Sudan.
Yeah.
Look also to other countries, not just countries that you have trade relations or historical relations. Look at other countries that are also going through the same, violence that are being under siege. Sudan, for instance. I mean, is it they now have two Sudan?
Yeah. But no. Let's be fair to him. He started off with Armenia, Azerbaijan. Mm-hmm. He also did the warring factions of Congo, whatever. Rwanda has a hand in it. He says he has settled that as well and was working on Ukraine as well. But I don't know how much I'll support you giving him the Nobel
I said
Prize.
from me.
Yeah, you are constituting your own committee for Alfred Nobel. It's okay, it's understandable.
No, that's
you
why
like
I said in quote, for what he's done, for at least the seeming peace, between Palestine and Israel.
Yes.
That is
and
something.
Also, I listed the other ones. You don't have to be his fan to say the truth.
Yes.
Journalism does not permit you to lie against even your enemy.
Thank you.
You're practicing it well.
You have, Yenri? Because there's one I have here.
All right. Away from the Trump story, but I quickly want to read the comment of Trump, and I hope that would respond to your cry for other wars to end. He says, "This is not only the end of war; this is the end of an age of terror and death." That's according to Donald Trump, and we hope that this materializes in what you've said in other areas across the world that need peace at this time.
Because I listened to
let's not taint his participation in it. Otherwise, I would say that he encouraged Netanyahu to ravage Gaza for too long before all this happened. Because I can assure you that Trump told Netanyahu, enough is enough. I think they've had their lesson. They've taken their lesson. It's now time to make peace.
I heard Netanyahu, say that Trump is the best U.S. president that Israel has ever had in history at the White House.
If you want to get things from Trump, start praising him first.
Same with every politician, by the way. Away from Trump, looking at other stories right here, this interests me, and I'm sure it would interest Chukudi. FG orders nationwide clamp down on cooking gas marketers as prices soar.
So that's the story that's on the papers today.
Yesterday, we were saying it doesn't seem like it's an official, elevation of prices. If the FG says now there should be a clamp down on them, that confirms my conjecture yesterday. It was unnatural, the way the spike just happened. Then later we heard Jumai said, I bought 19.5 1.5 weeks ago. They are telling me now that they're selling 16.5 where I live and all that. That shows you that somebody has taken advantage of a situation, as we are well known for.
But what kilogram are you talking about?
12.5 kg.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We have taken advantage, as we are known to always do. It's unfortunate, the level of impunity we allow on this landscape called Nigeria.
Very unfortunate. I went to buy stationery for my kids, and when I walked into the shop, and the prices of some things have gone up, and I asked why, and she said, how much is cooking gas? And I was wondering, what's the relationship between cooking gas?
No, they're telling you, if they raise theirs, how would we be able to buy those items if we do not raise ours?
Just two brief stories before we round off. This one is Miriam Sanders' presidential pardon, grave injustice, says slain husband's family. I don't know if you had, I wasn't on set yesterday. I don't know if you, spoke to
the presidential pardon and the names on the list. It's causing a lot of commotion.
Please, I'm saying this with all compassion for humanity. There are certain decisions in the world that are made at your expense. They are called political decisions sometimes. Government can only tell you, we are sorry, this had to happen. The Germans had to release somebody who shot somebody in public, a Russian, to be able to secure some kind of, they felt bad about it, but the US wanted them to please do it. They went ahead and released that person, even though everybody saw him kill that person.
It falls under...
So these things happen. Yeah, it doesn't quite... I've not directly treated what you asked me to do, but I had to go to a higher plane.
Yes, because they're asking us to round up, but not before we talk about the World Cup qualifier, Nigeria, Benin, in a make or break clash today. The permutations are too much for me.
Yes, and you see, nobody is going to pull me into a fight I don't want to be part of. Anytime I mention Super Eagles, not to put me for trouble nationally.
But at least
my lips are sealed. I don't know whether I'll watch.
Right.
We wish them luck, but I mean, the stakes. I don't know if I don't want to say anything negative.
We have 14 points. South Africa has 15. What do you call them? The people at the top there, they have I think
Benin. No, is it Benin?
Yes. If South Africa loses, you see, all those competitions have started again.
Chukwudi,
Why should my life,
Chukwudi,
my success in life depend on somebody losing?
Yeah, Ray, is it me or
It's
you?
time to go. The director says it's time to go. I just wish, they would just give us a minute to talk about this.
Yes, please.
It's on the ACU page, and it's a cause for concern for FCT residents. It says outcry over refuse pile-ups at
Oh,
FCT.
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Claire.
Absolutely.
Every
Claire.
time.
The one that beats my imagination is the one on Karshi Road.
From Karshi.
We made the road beautiful.
Karshi,
Before we made the road beautiful, there was no heap of refuse.
Chukwudi, we have to let you go. I'm
now
sorry.
we are done in.
Chukwudi, we have to let you
We
go.
hope the FCT does something about that, honestly. It's causing
yeah, a sign of please.
serious damage. All right, it's time to go. I apologize to the producer and the director, of course. Chukwudi, thank you so much. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about lead poisoning. Have you heard that before? Stay put.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear you call us. With undying demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Guys, food is ready.
Suitable for jollof rice, stew, spaghetti, and yam portage. Cooked to impress.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
My people, toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Harpic is better than bleach.
The world needs moms. With a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra oil, pour pure love.
My people, toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Harpic is better than bleach.
All right, let's get into the business of this morning, and we're looking at lead poisoning. Yenre asked, do you know what it's all about? If you don't, sit back, we'll listen to the background report, and then we'll come to introduce our guest.
Nigeria had experienced lead poisoning in Zamfara state in 2010. The presumptive source of the outbreak was said to be associated with semi-industrial scale gold ore processing that occurred in the affected areas. These had led to the death of at least 163 people between March and June 2010, including 111 children. In an effort to halt the epidemic, the Nigerian government commenced the clampdown on illegal mining and started carrying out a clean-up of the area. This actually reduced the number of cases since April, when illegal mining in the area was halted, and some of the residents were evacuated, especially with the education on health and the dangers of lead mining, which is also being given to local people. Preventing lead poisoning in Nigeria is believed to involve a multifaceted approach that includes government action, community-level education, and individual preventive measures. The government is strengthening regulations and creating working groups, as well as providing resources for soil remediation and public awareness campaigns. Worthy of note is the government's unveiling of a 5-year plan to eliminate lead poisoning in the country. Community-led prevention focuses on educating miners after safer practices and providing alternatives to illegal mining. Individuals can protect themselves by cleaning frequently, washing hands and toys, and ensuring proper nutrition, particularly for children. For now, there is an important campaign on lead poisoning with awareness in that regard, due to the fact that it is common in Nigeria and people are not conscious about it. Lead is found in paints and in some foods. It can cause cancer and affect pregnant women and unborn children. Now, what more should be done to ensure absolute eradication in the country? Our guests will be answering this question shortly.
Many thanks to AME Ajayi for that background report. Let's now introduce our guests who are already seated and ready for the conversation on preventing lead poisoning. Let me introduce Professor Gbenga Okunlola, the President, Geological Society of Africa, the immediate past head of Department of Geology at the University of Ibadan, and former President, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, and consultant to the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development. Many thanks for joining us, Prof.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Also here is Dr. Chimere May Ohadinwa, environmental toxicologist and public health expert, team lead, CSECO Foundation for Sustainable Health and Environment. Many thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. We also have joining us here in the studio the President of the Miners Association of Nigeria, Dele Anyoleke. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
And via Zoom, we have all the way from Gusau, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University, Gusau, Professor Muazu Abubakar, who is a professor of toxicology. Prof, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, and good morning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly. Usually, I like to start from, my colleague asked the question. Do you know what lead poisoning is all about? And sometimes when we talk about lead, when we mention lead, your mind quickly races to pencil and things like that. Not something that could cause harm. So I'd like to start with Dr. Chimere. Can you quickly, clarify what lead is and how exposure, can be, yes.
So lead is a chemical, is a part of heavy metal, and it's toxic. So when you have it in a limit that is beyond safety limit, then it becomes poisoning. But because lead is one of the toxic chemicals, heavy metals that you find, even the small quantity can cause harm. So when you have it beyond the safety limit, that becomes lead poisoning. So it's a heavy metal that is toxic, hazardous to health. That is why you're raising the awareness. And it's important to know that from 19th to 25th.
When you say heavy metal, don't jump. When you say heavy metal, let's know. Is it like the word, I mentioned pencil.
Yes.
We have batteries. Can you just give us,
examples of where you can find it? Okay. So that's what I was trying to explain now. So so if you understand chemistry, it's part of the ones that are on the table that you have to look at, right? And so for us to have from 19th to 25th, is Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. So it's so important that there's a whole week discussing lead poisoning. And so you can find lead poisoning, like you said, in pencils, sometimes even in some food that we overlook. Yes, we find it in food, even contaminated sites. You see places that you're mining and the place is already polluted and people are planting there. It's growing and you're eating it, right? There is this edible clay chalk.
So I'm sorry, you say contaminated site.
Yes.
And
so
mining.
if you plant, in mining sites where they plant, so already it's like you triggered it, and then plants can now absorb it, and then we can eat it, and then you can also get exposed.
What about refuse bin? I mean, we were talking about dump sites and all that, where you find plants growing and all that.
Yes, it's the same thing. So let's not even go that far. I'm just talking about even the basic things. So you can find batteries, sometimes in cosmetics that you're using. This local traditional. They put in the eye. Yeah, it contains lead. Also, the clay chalk, this inzu that we eat and we feel always so beautiful, so sweet that especially pregnant women eat.
Yeah,
it's a good number of them contain. Remember, it's from the soil. It's clay that is being molded. They call it edible. So some of them, if you don't know the sources, it can contain lead. And it has a lot of impact because it can pass, when you inject it, it can pass through the placenta and affect the fetus, unborn child. So that's why you're having a whole 1 week discussing lead. And it's not only in paint, it's also in fuel. So that's why it's banned, that it's no longer, they're promoting not to be in paint again. So old houses, so if you're having old houses that have old paints and you need to repaint them, you need to remove the old ones, they're getting professionals to do it for you, not you doing it alone. You see those paints that are flaking out, you better remove them and paint, because if it contains lead, it means people living in the house can be inhaling it. And then down the line, the children are likely to have, come up with some of the diseases. Sometimes you have some of these things in plants that you're using to prepare local drinks. You don't even know the storage system, you don't know, and then you're wondering why the child is coming out with certain diseases they're not thinking about.
But what quantity is harmful?
No, if at the smallest quantity, the theme for this year is no safe limit.
Okay, many thanks, Dr. Ohajinwa. When you talked about lead in chemistry, it actually took me back to my chemistry books. And of course, for chemistry students, it's that lead is, the atomic number is 82. And on the periodic table, it's found in group 14 of the carbon group and period 6. But it's a heavy, dense, and soft metal that is a poor conductor of electricity, but very resistant to corrosion. And I'm sure that is why you're raising awareness about it. I'd like to get to you, Professor Okunlola. She's talked about lead and why there are no safe limits, for it. She talks about inhaling and all of that. But speak to us really, because I'm wondering, when she talked about paint, that, have been painted, say, 10 years ago, how is that, going to affect anyone? Because usually we know once you paint a house, it smells for some days, and eventually, you no longer perceive, the smell. So how does it affect your health? And then speak about other sources. She talked about local drinks. So are you saying the leaves or the barks of trees contain lead?
Well, let me first of all say that she's more of a public health, so she'll be able to answer a lot of the questions, but I can just give a background. If you don't ingest lead, I don't think it's going to affect you. So if you paint your house, in the paint you have some levels of lead, but I think there's a lot of efforts now with the paint manufacturers to see that you have what we call elimination of the lead in the paints, and that's one of the global standards now that we have it. And apart from paints and all the other sources, mining, because virtually 90% of sources of all lead contamination or poisoning or whatever comes from mining, comes from the soil, comes from the earth. And I'll give you an example. Every metal that you see, every element that you see on the periodic table has a natural source, except those ones that are manufactured or produced in the laboratory. what are the other sources of lead? If you have it in plants, that means the plants must have ingested or taken up, rather, let me use the correct word, taking up the lead from the soil. How did the soil come to be? So rocks, every rock that you see today and every soil that you see today was produced or weathered, broken down from a rock. So if that rock has lead, the soil will also have a higher percentage of the lead. And if the soil has a higher percentage of lead and you plant anything, any plant in it that can easily take up the lead either in the stems or in the leaves, then it will contain lead. And
But
if
we
you eat
plants
it,
survive in an area that is contaminated with lead.
and let me even tell you, we even use some plants to look for lead because there's what you call biogeology, biogeochemistry, that's to explore. So there are some specific plants, like some plants, when we see them in the field, we know, oh, this one may have copper because they take up more than the others, or lead and all that from all the other sources. But again, lead is so scary, but again, lead is useful. So lead is useful, but again, just like she said, okay, for human beings, getting it into the system of the human beings is what you want to prevent. Because lead is even now, even globally, one of the strategic minerals that you find from galena and all that. And people are mining lead. But again, you have to do it in such a way that it's not ingestible. It doesn't get into the blood system.
If you say trees, some trees grow in the presence of lead,
Yeah.
does that also mean that the fruits from those trees could carry lead?
Of course, it could carry lead. Depends on the level in which it uptakes the lead from the soil. So you have to look at what's the level of the lead that you also have in the soil. That is why if you are mining in any area and producing lead, and lead is associated with so many other minerals, gold, for example, and that's why you're having this issue in Zamfara and all the rest, which I saw in your promo, because the gold occurs with the lead and arsenic. So those are some of the metals that occur together while you are mining, and if you ingest them, then it's poisonous. But if you are mining and then there is a safe way in which the lead is not ingested, then it's okay. In fact, one of the elements that we use in finding gold is the presence of lead and arsenic either in the soil. We call them pathfinder elements. And so where you find this lead in higher quantities and associated with some other minerals, you may find gold. Gold is good. Gold itself as a mineral does not necessarily contain lead, but gold is associated with other lead minerals like galena, galena and other minerals that you find associated, with lead. There are about more than about 35 minerals that contain lead in some substances and in some quantity.
Professor Konala,
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'll bring in Mr. Ayoleke into the conversation. Well, they say lead poisoning is probably a mining area problem. You want to tell us how widespread it is? How widespread is it?
Well, thank you very much. I think Prof has actually explained as much as mining takes place, and as much as we get value from mining, especially the gold minerals, and we have found that is lead is associated with gold. It is what that portends is that we are likely to find lead poisoning in area with gold deposits. And that is why we have issues in 2010 at Zamfara because of the gold-rich environment. I think in 2015 again we had skirmishes of it in Niger. And even recently, I think it's reported around Zamfara and Sokoto as well. So it depends on, it depends on the widespread or the minerals with which lead is associated with.
All right, many thanks. Let's get to Professor Abubakar, who joins us via Zoom now. Prof, if you can hear us, I'm sure you've been following the conversation. Great insight so far. But I'd like you to speak about why this is a major concern, really, and what are the likely symptoms, that shows that someone is probably suffering from lead poisoning. Well, I would like to hear that.
Okay, thank you very much. The reason why lead issue is an issue of concern is that it affects, it's a societal devastating environmental disease of young children. That is the reason, because young children are the ones that are majorly affected in that aspect. It does not say that others are not being affected, but they are affected, but the young children are the ones that are vulnerable. Or let me say, the young children and the elderly are the vulnerable. So that's why it's a major concern. And it's affecting the nervous system, the hemopoietic system, and the renal function. In fact, lead as a poisonous substance, it almost affects almost everything in our system, because lead is not being handled by the biological system. It has no known function. And the only way you can get rid of it is actually to deposit it in your system. Once you take it in, it can be there for certain times, and later on it can be mobilized again to affect you, depending on your health status. So that's why it is a major concern. It affects almost all our system, biological system in particular.
I don't know if you want to share with us what has changed since the last time we heard about lead poisoning in I think in your state, yes, in Zamfara. What has changed between then and now? A lot of children died as a result of that.
Yes, I may say nothing has changed. Things are even getting worse, because generally the stakeholders are not showing any serious concern. Sorry to say. The 2010 is almost 14 to 15 years now. The illegal mining that is causing the lead exposure in Zamfara in particular, in almost everywhere, not only in Zamfara, is actually as a result of this illegal mining. And this illegal mining is still ongoing. It's still ongoing. Why? Because the people have to do it for survival. They are doing it to survive, so it cannot be stopped. Look at their water, their food material, their animals, almost everything. So nothing has changed. We have not done anything to improve the system. Maybe what I would say that has improved maybe is the health facilities, because in those days, even to carry out lead analysis is a major problem. But now you can just run into a hospital in Zamfara. You want your blood lead level be assessed, and maybe it can be assessed. So maybe that's, and also the doctors now, they are getting more and more exposed to it, so they know a better way to handle it. Maybe that's the only thing that I would say that has improved. But in terms of exposure and what is bringing lead exposure, nothing has changed. It's already in the rising, it's increasing, and the stakeholders are not doing much on it.
You said children are mostly affected. Can you tell us why why it's like that? Because, I mean, the children are not the ones mining. So speak to us about why the children are most affected. And let us know, I asked earlier about what the symptoms are really. And then from what you're saying, does it mean that it is treatable? If you have lead poisoning, you can be treated and cured of it?
Okay. Children are mostly affected because their system is still at developmental stages. So they are the ones that are affected. Their enzyme system are not well developed. Their system is not developed to cater for exposure of agents that are really likely to harm the system. And that's why they are majorly exposed. Now, I said children and the elderly. The elderly also, because their system is already on the aging process and their enzyme system is also going down. Now, the effect, as you said, as I said, there are many: neurological, cognitive deficit, behavioral problem, developmental delay, encephalopathy, and in adults you will see peripheral nephropathy, you will see mood disorder, you will see microcytic hypochromic anemia, and many others. In renal, you are likely to see chronic nephritis, hypertension, constipation, abdominal pain. It affects even the reproductive system. So many things are affected when you are talking about lead, because, as I said, it has no non-biological function. So once there is a toxic substance in the system, and the system will try to see if there is a way to handle it. But unfortunately, in the process, it keeps on harming the system. It keeps on harming the system. So once the health status of individual is compromised, then lead will be mobilized, because it's being stored in the bones, it's being stored in the biological system. So the moment the immune system are low, then you are likely to see that effect coming back. It will be mobilized. It can be stored for almost 10 to 30 years in the biological system. Then once it is compromised, then this thing can be something that is likely to affect the whole biological system. The first thing that is being affected is actually the hemopoietic system, i.e. the blood system. So the blood system will be affected. That's why you will see the blood lead level, in fact, is a good marker. That's what is being measured generally. And as my colleague says, there is no safe limit of lead. Yes, we used to say 5 nanogram of lead, but even that amount is not safe, because it can be deposited in our system. It can continue to accumulate, and that is a problem. That is a problem.
I still like to stay with you, just to give us a little more, understanding of why lead is so deadly from the toxicology point of view. Can you enlighten us more? What makes it a stubborn, poison?
You see, lead is deadly. Why? Because you are talking about maybe a pinch of salt. We are talking in milligram. We are talking in nanogram. But lead, when you are talking about lead, even picomolar concentration of lead replaces some essential ions within the biological system. For example, it replaces calcium. Calcium ion is important in our system, and because of that, so many enzyme systems will be affected. And this enzyme, for example, a protein kinase C, an enzyme, very important in our biological system, will be affected. And once it affected, is now going to affect so many systems. It will affect the interleukins, it will affect the other system. In fact, it will affect even the movement of calcium and other ions. For example, magnesium ion will also be affected. Now, imagine magnesium ion being replaced by lead. Magnesium ion is found in almost over 300 enzyme systems. Now, once lead can replace calcium or replace magnesium ion, then the enzymes will not be working. And the biological system, all the system, as I said, there is no part that is not being affected. That's why I mentioned that nearly almost all our system is being affected. It disrupts almost everything, right from the renal system, gastrointestinal, reproductive system, the skeletal system. Even when you do X-ray, you will see it. You will see that it's being affected. So the disruption of lead is so much so that we tend to ignore it. But it's something that the stakeholders can now come and put a safety instrument that can actually take care of the system, because it's a holistic approach when everyone now places his hand and we now come to deal with the issue. Because we are saying children now, what of in 30 years now to come? They are already adult. What happens to them? The lead is still in them. Now remember, in 2010 effect is because the lead was measured when we are expecting about 60 nanogram, 60 microgram, then you are seeing almost 400 in children. And as we said earlier, there is no safe limit. So that's why it is devastated and it affects almost all the system of our biological system.
For your input, would get back to you. And of course, I would like to ask what the medical procedure called chelation, flushing out lead, if chelation, okay. Oh, well, thank you. Chelation, if that is, a remedy to some of this. But, lead is not totally evil. I mean, lead is used for batteries, used for radiation shielding, ammunition, sodas, alloys, and of course, cable sheathing. So many uses. So it means that if mined properly, of course, we could get the benefits and not harm ourselves. So that leads me to the president of the miners, Mr. Ayoleke. He already pointed out that, I mean, mining, that's like the main issue in all of this. Illegal mining, leading to exposures and water bodies being contaminated and children being affected. Speak to us, BLA. You're aware of this issue, and I'm aware that you're having your mining week, going on at the moment. What is the association doing about this?
Well, thank you very much. Association is, we are a body of operators. And all this issue lies within the regulatory agencies. What we do on our own is to collaborate with them to ensure that there are safer mining practices. How do we ensure this? Number one is that we are collaborating with government to ensure that illegality in mining is, if it cannot be totally eradicated, it must be reduced to barest minimum. Because experience all over the world shows that you might not be able to eradicate totally illegality in mining. Especially when you are looking, because even this one you are talking about, we can take it down to the level of artisanal mining. Because you had Prof said it, that these people are doing this thing for survival. You cannot prevent artisanal mining. But what the government can do, there are so many things the government can do. Take, for example, they can formalize all these artisanal miners into cooperatives, into economic units that will make them to be controllable. It will provide access for them to education and awareness, and at the same time lead to education about what they are doing. So government is, we know government is in the process of formalizing, but we will encourage the government, and that is what we are doing. In fact, in some of our conversations are speaking to all these issues of safer mining practices at the mining week. So we are collaborating with government, and at the same time, we are also encouraging government to make sure that all the regulatory agencies along the MDAs that has to do with issue of health and things like that, they have to collaborate. We have the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, we have the Ministry of Environment, we have the Ministry of Health, even information, because when we are talking in terms of, we have to talk of awareness. Awareness will be created along all these lines. So we are collaborating with all these agencies to ensure that all these hazards in mining are prevented or reduced to the barest minimum.
So are you saying at the moment the regulatory agencies are not doing anything? Because Professor just mentioned that, since the last disaster we had as regards lead poisoning, nothing has changed.
That revelation is a very unfortunate, if that is what is happening. And but in all honesty,
you say that is what is happening.
Yes,
no, but you are the president of the Miners Association.
I'm not the regulator.
No, but you ought to know.
Yes,
no, Minister of Health.
Yes, Minister of Health, Minister of Solid Mineral Development.
5-year plan.
You would respond when he's done.
So,
just a minute.
So what I'm saying is that we know from our own that government is doing a lot, but the issue is that this illegal mining is still going on. We had Prof said it. As long as this illegal mining are still going, as long as all this artisanal mining are still let loose, they are not controlled, you can't prevent this. But that is not the duty of the association. We can only correct and advise the government. Whenever they call us on all this, take for example, our coordination now, we are collaborating with a lot of government agencies going about, doing one thing or the other in mining. This is our limit. We can't control, or we are not the one regulating.
Yes, quite understood. Yeah. You have regulators. The concern that we see most times is us leaving everything to government and to regulators. Yeah. Your association, you are direct stakeholders in all of this.
Yes.
But is there any... Hold on, Mr. Yaneke, hold on. We just would like to know what efforts your association, has been able to make, to address, to some extent, the situation. Because Prof said, between 2010 and now, stakeholders are, maybe they're just watching, making their money silently while, people are dying.
In our own case, what we can do is to create awareness, sensitize our members. But one thing I also want to know is that we are not association of illegal miners. All our members are legitimate license owners. But at the same time, in all the states, because we have structures.
If you say legitimate license holders, I remember not quite long in the news, we saw the Ministry of Solid Minerals revoking licenses of some miners. Yeah. Are they part of your association, or are they the illegal miners?
Some are. No, well, yeah, you see, this issue of legality in mining is a very big conversation. Are you getting me? Because you can own a license and still not be compliant, and still not be compliant with the laws. So if you are not compliant, the government will definitely do the needful. Are you getting me? So that is what is happening with this issue of revocation. But at the same time, what we are saying is on our own, in all the chapters of the Federation, in all the state of the Federation, we have chapters, and we organize sensitization programs for miners, irrespective of whether we are members or not. So we try to, because we are talking of lead poisoning, there are some other dangerous aspects in mining, which is not issue of lead poisoning. All this, anything that is not bringing safer mining practices can be hazardous. So we have our chapters, we have our structures where we organize regular sensitization programs and education, not only for our members, but for all people that are involved, including communities, the host communities. We organize seminars for them.
If you organize seminars, then I'm wondering why the report from Prof seems not to have changed. Because your association was supposed to do something, at least in terms of this awareness you're talking about and sensitization, from 2010 till now. So there should have been a sharp decrease in some of the malpractices.
You see, I want you to know that the enforcement comes into play. You can educate it just like advice, but when there are laws guiding all these things, the enforcement capacity of the government is very weak. And that is one of the things we are also telling the government, that they just need to improve their enforcement capacity, and even the regulations, the regulators. Take for example, in every state there is a federal mines office. How many people are there to carry out the enforcement and to regulate?
Okay,
so these are the issues.
Yes,
government need to improve on the enforcement and regulatory capacity of the industry.
Mr. Yenike, we've heard the issue that you've raised about the part government should play. But before we come to Dr. Chimera here, I want to also, ask you to, tell us the bulk of the poisoning that comes from lead is within the mining ecospace, isn't it? What have you done so far to minimize the risk of even your members?
Well, like I said, if in mining there are laws guiding mining, there are regulations guiding extraction, and take for example, we have so many companies who are now into gold mining, and they are aware of all these dangers associated with mining.
Mm-hmm.
Any legitimate mining company must be aware of all these dangers, and they must prevent it in their mining practices. I think the major occurrence we are talking about now comes out of these people that don't have knowledge about mining, people who are not aware.
So all your members are certified. All the certified miners within your association. Yeah. Are you saying they are? I mean, are you exonerating them from?
I'm not exonerating them. If I'm exonerating them, government will not be revoking licenses. I'm not exonerating anybody. Mm-hmm. I've told you earlier on that even where you still hold a license, it's like a driver having a driving license. You can still drive against traffic laws. So and once you do that one, the laws catches up on you, then of course you have to bear it.
I think I'll stop the further questions with you. Let's come to Dr. Dr. Chimera. I don't know if I'm right. I recall you describing lead poisoning as a silent, invincible pandemic, something like that, and all that. But why is it that it stayed so long undetected in the body?
Okay, so, like the prof was trying to say, you're asking why are children mostly affected? Children are mostly affected because they are closer to the ground. It's easy for them to pick up things from the ground, dust that is already contaminated with lead and put in their mouth. And then their toys, there are a lot of toys that we are importing that are recycled with lead contaminants, and then when you're eating the toys and all that, so that's why it's getting into the system. So a child looks and doesn't really manifest that until you take the blood sample and measure it. But there are other symptoms, because the symptoms will not be looking like normal other things until you test it. Like you said, their brains are not developing well, so that means the lead it can easily pass through and affect the brain. So there are neurotoxins, that's why they can affect the brain, then the mood and all of those things that you're seeing. So that's why it looks as if it's not detectable until you not take the blood sample, because it's looking like others. It can even cause death. So when someone is sick, all the symptoms are looking like the normal other things that you're not seeing. So your mind might not be going there until you have those kind of cases that you have in Zamfara. So concerning what you talked about, what government is doing, so recently, that was in September, last month, that Federal Ministry of Health launched a 5-year plan on how to eliminate lead poisoning in Nigeria. So they've already set up a committee, they are doing workshop to try to do this. But the truth is that the awareness is also not as much, it's not as much, like I just mentioned, is in the dust, making sure there are certain small things you can do to prevent it, especially if you have children. These are also where you come into a home that you have toddlers picking things from the floor, and those homes have rugs, carpet rug. We're not supposed to have it in this kind of environment where you have a lot of dust in our environment. Your room or your house should be clear that you can easily clean, because you have children picking things from the floor. And then, so if you're having that, you'll have the opportunity to always clean your house. So if your paint is fading and flaking out, you're supposed to remove it and repaint it, making sure they wash their hands regularly before they eat their food. Your vegetables are properly washed, because a lot of this food we get on the streets. So the dust are settling on them, and just when you pick it, you just put it in water like this and you're eating the cucumber straight without washing it properly. Remember, they are moving it all around and there's dust is settling on the food, is settling on the street food. So if you're eating street food, make sure you're getting from a good source that are being regulated. So apart from Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Health that is regulated, NESRA is there to regulate, but also even as a person, because some of these big people are the ones that are really being regulated. The small ones may not be properly regulated. So we just go, we buy our suya that is on the street, we buy our maize that is roasted on the street with all the dust that's still on it. You don't even know where this dust is coming from. So these are small things we can do to prevent it, to reduce it, because when it starts, your mind may not even go to lead poisoning. And until it becomes too much, because the symptoms are looking like other symptoms as well. Just that it's more in children. That was why the Zamfara case was a lot. Losing 400 children was just too much.
Okay, many thanks, Doctor, for that. I was meaning to ask the president of the miners if those involved in this illegal mining, if all of them are Nigerians, if we have foreigners who are also endangering our people in a bid to get our resources. I'm sure you would respond to that. But let's get to Professor Okunlola now. This is a very sensitive topic. And if you listen to Prof carefully, we need to act as fast as possible so we would not have a repeat of what happened, in Zamfara some years ago. But speak to us about how we can actually reduce lead poisoning. I understand that some countries in the world, some in Europe, the United States of America, have been able to reduce, lead poisoning to the barest minimum. What are the ways out?
Thank you very much. I think one of the things I could get from all the conversations is that the word stakeholders. Stakeholders. And I like what Claire said, that look, we always try to leave everything for government and all that. This is a stakeholder thing. Everybody should be involved. The Toxicological Association, the conference you said you have going to look at lead poisoning, the mining societies, Nigeria Mining and Geoscience Society, Miner Association of Nigeria, and even people do not know the public health people. Mining, yes, contributes, like I said, almost 60%. But let me tell you something. If you look at the traffic on the road and the amount of lead that is deposited on the roadside, researchers have shown that in big cities, on the roadside, if you take samples and you look at the level of lead on those soils, it's high. In fact, higher than normal.
As a result of the vehicles?
Yes, as a result of the vehicles. You have leaded fuels, you have unleaded. So the emissions from the vehicles itself and the soot, you see some of the soot from this on the soils themselves contain high level of lead. So people who roast corn on the roadside, people who trade even fruits on the roadside and they fall on the ground and we buy them. So these are different sources. Now, how do we all do this? Enlightenment comes in, just like some of the programs we're doing. Then every stakeholder, government, regulatory agencies, societies, and I think this is where some of our NGOs should begin to focus. We're focusing so much on politics and all that, and elections in Nigeria, but so many other important that we should have initiatives that are looking at this direction. Let's take the case of mining. I've always advocated over the years that what the mining sector needs for safety mining, it's not, yes, we need to enforce, but if you look at the history of enforcement of mining mining in Africa, yes, it's worked to some extent, but like he said, you don't really eliminate this illegality. I'm not saying illegality should continue. And when you are talking of illegality in mining, it has so many levels that it will take a big discussion to do this. But what I want to say is we must have extension work amongst these people. As we have in agriculture. Look, one of the things that is improving agriculture globally, and even in Nigeria, is the issue of education of the farmers, extension of the farmer. These are the seeds you must plant, improve seedlings. This is the season you must plant this. The farmers, with all due respect, many of them, let me use the word, are not really too educated. I'm not talking of the big, when you're talking of the big farms and you talk of small older farms, the small older farmers are the largest and the level of education is low. But you see a lot of extension work. Oh, this is the fertilizer you must use for this soil, and the farmers, they will buy it. They will be happy about it. Oh, this is the kind of crop rotation you must have. Who teaches them? Extension workers. We must also introduce this in the mining sector. And I've advocated this for a long time. Yes, you are going to have the mines office, the NESRA and all that, and you make laws. And there are more than 2,000 mining sites in this country, and there are even more. You can't reach everyone. Now, again, even those ones that are not illegal are mostly 70% of mining in Nigeria is artisanal and small scale. You have only about 3 or 4 big mines in Nigeria, maybe about 2 or 3 that are controlled by private sector for gold and all that. And when you see that set up, oh, fantastic, everything about safety is done. But the rest of the 80% are at artisanal levels with no understanding of safe mining methods.
Exactly. I was going to ask you.
So
yes, I was going to ask you. What about? I mean, we talk about the efforts of regulators.
Yeah.
We say artisanal mining is the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Who are the culprits?
Yeah. So
EIA.
Yeah. Let me see. Nigeria is still an evolving mining nation. And we don't need to deceive ourselves. That's the truth. And people say, oh, for how long? Yes, we mined well before, in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, on the plateau, in Enugu and all that, where we had the big mining company came in. There was a hiatus, 1975. We've not fully recovered from that. I don't want to go into that narrative. But the thing is, we're just evolving. And those who took over from the big people when the hiatus came in were these low-level artisanal, small-scale miners that are now being upscaled to the level of Miner Association of Nigeria. But again, it's an urgent problem. So what we need to do is to say, look, let's begin to teach these people. Let's forget about taking guns, task forces. No, don't use the word let's forget. Let's reduce to some extent the concept of the force. Let's look at education. Let's look at enlightenment. If you want to look at illegality, yes, cooperatives and all that, they've been doing that for a long time. But this is an urgent thing. How do we get people to mine safely? Let me tell you something. Some of us deal with these miners. We go. They don't also want to die. They don't always also want to do the things the wrong way. They want to make money. They want to see the best way to make money. They also want to see the best way in which their mining will be sustainable. So we need to go and teach them. And there are ways to do this. The government can facilitate, but again, others can come in. And I have a formula that I've always advocated. Look, there was this program we had in Nigeria. I don't know whether it's still functioning. We had to pay these young people 50 or something thousand. We have a lot of geoscientists, young people. In Nigeria, we have trained since 1960, more than 20,000 and so. Some are doing well in the fields. Few are still. Let's gather some of these people, at least 500 or so. We're going to give you so amount every month. It's not a permanent employment. Go to this, face Zamfara today. Let me have 100 geoscientists who have been trained 1 month, 2 months in safe mining practice. Now just go there and teach these people. I've done it several times in the southwest in Como. Sometimes I'll just go into the field and we have some kind of initiatives and we'll look at it and say, look, why are you doing this? Why are you putting your pit this way? You just, use your language. You just buy. This is not the way to do it. No, don't put your pit that way. Don't go into the pit that way. Expand it. Follow this vein. This is how you do it. And when you are going, just get some helmet and all that. And please, make sure when you are in that something and you are following the Gira, I'm just using the example because you have to come down to their level. You are following the Gira, what you call Gira. You are following the route to where you can have the mineralization. Make sure that you don't just, when you use your hand and all that, don't just use that same hand to buy suya. Wash these things. And so some of these things, some of these ways will eliminate to some extent. You see it, going down. And it's not rocket science. You don't need big equipments to teach people how to have safe mining. Artisanal mining is a kind of mining. It's accepted all over the world if it's done legally. Small-scale mining, there are scales of mining. There is artisanal, there is small-scale, there is a large-scale. And then you have the devastating one. I'm sorry.
Prof, yes, before we bring in Mr. Anyolike, I know he has other schedules, yes. Right. But before that, I think it was last year
Yeah.
in River State. I mean, we heard all the shouts, touch the roof, the windows,
Suits,
there was
yeah.
this black
Yeah,
suit and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Does it have anything to do with what we're discussing?
Sure, of course. Even when you're talking of refining, and then of course even with oil, oil refining and all that, the lead levels are also there. Sometimes the sulfur levels are low sulfur fuel, high sulfur lead. They're all associated, and you have these suits that on the clothes when you put it and all that and all that. But let's look at how it is. It has reduced.
There's
If
so
not
much noise
better-
about it. There was so much noise, and it lasted for quite a long time.
And I'll tell you something, health people, public health people should begin to check the levels of many of the people in River State.
Yeah.
Because of the rate at which they have ingested some of these things. And if it had continued, it would have become a serious health hazard. If it had lasted more than it
From
lasted.
what you see, do you think that the regulators are concerned about health or just concerned about remittances?
Let me say this. It's why are you asking me such a difficult question? Well, yes, we're involved. We are interested in revenue. We're interested in remittances. But at the same time, I see some efforts in the health. But I think we should concentrate more on the environment. The environment matters a lot. Because if the environment is not secured, even the miners themselves will not be secured. Even those of us who have been. So
you
it's
didn't
important.
also answer my question on the environmental assessment.
Oh yeah, the
which is also-
EIA.
yes.
Let me also say yes. You can carry out EIAs, but Claire, EIA is an expensive thing.
But it has to be done for the
I know,
safety.
I know it's an expensive thing to be done. How many of our artisanal small-scale miners can do the EIA? Yes, we must do EIA. We must do EIA. But I will tell you something, when you want to do your mining lease and all that, at that level of real mining, what we are supposed to be doing now, many of the artisanal miners, is still exploration. But at the exploration stage, you're already mining. So, and you don't require an EIA when you are still just doing explorations. When you now want to get into mining, that you do that. But while we know that even 70% of licensed owners that are having exploration licenses are already mining. So you are not supposed to mine. But that is the reality. So the issue of EIA then at that level may not really, make a lot of impact. And I tell you something, EIA is good, but it's on paper.
And Claire,
so we have
Claire,
to
for
be
clarity,
careful.
maybe you should say that EIA is environmental impact assessment.
Assessment, yeah.
Right, just so that,
But it should be done. It should be part of the standards and should be part of the codes. But where you have 70% of miners who are even not yet, you can't hold them by law for not doing EIA, but you also hold them by law that you are doing exploration, but you're already mining. It's an urgent thing. Let's see how, even at that level of illegality, because life is important, let's tell them what to do.
All right,
and they can do it.
Mr. Ayonleke, before we let you go, looks like we have a big problem on our hands. And thankfully, NTA is, putting the spotlight on this particular issue. Only in very rare cases we hear topics like this being discussed, like Prof has mentioned. It's always about politics and all other kind of things. But speak to us, since you're about to leave us, what will be your recommendation in all of this?
Well, I think we have been saying this for even when you had the Prof speaking the other time. And we have said it all that, number one, Prof even mentioned it now. We need to be intentional about our environment in terms of ensure that we manage the environment and even the social life well. There should be good collaborations between all these agencies that are involved. And like I said, Prof has said, yeah, I'm looking at it from the issue of low-level enforcement, but it has come from a very good point that I think we need to scale up our enlightenment program as well to ensure that, and this cut across all the stakeholders, including the host communities. So we must come together and ensure that we create awareness, let people know the dangers of what they are doing and how they can obtain minimum knowledge for them to prevent their lives from being endangered. So the Ministry of Soil Mineral Development, the Ministry of Steel, the Ministry of Environment, across the tiers of government, federal, state, even local government. All of us, including the NOA from the Ministry of Information. We need to come, all of them like that, we need to come together and create a policy on how we are going to create awareness on all this. So then from there we take it up to the issue of law. And that is to ensure that there are safer mining practices by ensure that at the same time we have enough capacity to regulate all these our laws. And even after the education and enlightenment, we still need enforcement. So these are just ways by which.
When you talk about enforcement, Prof was trying to say that, well, enough of the force and,
yes,
I've
said
ways.
it.
But in terms of enforcement, what really would work?
Well, what will work is that I think it is being done, but before we can enforce, we have to have.
But you said weak enforcement earlier. So what can make it stronger? What do you expect the regulators to do to ensure that this enforcement, is able to deal with the problem?
Well, we need to improve the capacity, both the human and the capacity of the law enforcement agencies and the regulators. Like you have Prof saying that the number of sites we are having in this state. Let's even go to Niger State. See how big Niger is. How many men are in our federal mines offices? How many men are in other agencies that are critical, like the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Information? How many people are there to ensure that, not even enforce, even to educate people? So these are the things we are talking about, that we need to improve on all these capacities for us to be able to bring this all these
issues. Are foreigners a part of your association? Foreigners who are engaged in mining a part of your association?
Well, foreigners have levels. Say, for example, we have Chinese companies around now who are in the country, who are mining, who are doing their legitimate businesses. Of course, if they approach us for membership, we admit them. But all these artisanal miners, like I said, even the locals, the indigenous ones, they are not our members. Although we do a lot of enlightenment for them. And our borders are very porous. Some cross by either bike or even through the bush path to enter into Nigeria. So we have all these issues going on. We have very porous borders.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Ayon Leke. You'd be leaving us shortly. Many thanks for your input, and we wish you the best in your mining week. I'm sure that's what you're going to attend to. Thank you. So we'll take a break, but just to let our viewers know that the numbers to send messages or SMS is on the screen. Our guests are still with us. We have a professor joining us via Zoom, and of course, two guests are still right here with us. So please feel free to send in your questions, your comments, your suggestions, whatever it is as regards the topic, and we will take them. So we'll take a break now. When we come back, the conversation continues. Stay with us.
Breakfast doesn't last my child the whole day. By halftime, they are low on energy. That's why break time is the right time to re-energize. It's that break time energy that helps keep your champ in the game.
Pack the nourishing energy of Milo with a great taste into the lunchbox every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively, but Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10x better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Harpic is better than
Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja. The city is moving. New voices, heavy drip, all heart. From the streets to the stage, this is the next Afrobeat star.
Yo, yo, yo! What are we here for? Let's Afrobeat star! Let's get nasty!
And the talents from all over showed up to own the room. But they're not alone.
Spiritual. Gospel.
All chasing a slot to face the judges. Puffy T, SARS, Andre Vibes, P Pride. Catch next Afrobeat star on.
All right, welcome back to the program. Good morning, Nigeria. And just before we took a break, Ian Ray, of course, signed off Mr. Dele Anyoleke, the president of the Miners Association of Nigeria. But he's still here with us. Mr. Anyoleke, you're still going to stay with us, at least for us to have an idea of the Miners Week. So he's graciously giving us some more of his time. Thank you very much for that. But before we take the next set of questions, we have messages from you, and so we'll take them one by one. Yenre, please take the first one.
All right. So this one is coming from Ahmed Babadikwa from Maiduguri. And it says environmental remediation is one of the most crucial steps to tackling lead poisoning. Cleaning up the contaminated soil and homes is essential to breaking the cycle of exposure and protecting future generations. Another one says, apart from consuming lead-contaminated water, can physical contact and inhaling of smoke from burning rubbish, that's refuse, lead to lead poisoning? That's coming from Bello Muhammad. Another one says, preventing lead poisoning is not just a health issue, it's about protecting Nigeria's future generations. Encourage citizens to avoid unsafe products and report pollution sources. Urge government and private sector to invest in cleaner technologies and public education. I'll take one last one. This one says, I'd like you to explain how lead is harmful to the body. I think that's been treated, and also how it affects the body. All right, so Claire.
Yes, Mohammed Anwar Musa Afamai from Kano. Lead exposure and lead poisoning is preventable with simple actions to protect children and our communities. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning to you as well. Nanda Buye from Jos. Interesting topic. The World Health Organization has identified lead as one of 10 chemicals of major public health concern, and that requires action by member states in order to protect the health of workers, children, and women of reproductive age. How can I determine if the sources of lead in my home contain harmful levels? Dr. Chimere, that should be your question. Does lead in children's toys represent a hazard? Another question for you. How do pregnancy and breastfeeding affect blood lead levels? Why might blood lead levels be higher in women after menopause? Thank you for your service. God bless Nigeria. Nanda from Wuye in Jos. Good morning, Claire and Yenre. I always enjoy your conversation. Can lead be seen? How can I know it? Benjamin from New Busa. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you. Akeju Olagbaju. One of the main sources of lead poisoning is from lead-based paint. I really want to know what regulatory framework is in place to check this. Yes, and I also, I'm sure Prof would respond to this. Many years ago, I think Nigeria banned leaded petrol. Yep. Yes, but we still see some of these paints being, batteries being recharged and all that. So this is a question for you. Now, good morning, Nigeria. You guys are doing wonderful works. God bless you. Please go to our social media handles and post it. All our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what else? TikTok. Yes, please go there. Go there right now and hit it. Hit us. Omololu BA, thank you. To the experts in the house, can regular intake of water flush out or neutralize lead intoxication in the body? Thank you. That's Omololu BA. It's my birthday. This is coming from Usman Abdul Razak, a.k.a. Don Raz at 50. Happy birthday to you and thank you. Please go to our social media handle and do same there. We are all over the place. Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp. Good morning. The threat of lead poisoning remains seriously high as long as awareness is low, and we place very low premium or value on human lives. Yusuf Abdul, all the way from Zaria. Once again, happy birthday to Usman Abdul Razak, a.k.a. Don Raz at 50. All right, where would you start?
Okay,
Yes.
it's fine.
Yes, your question. Do you want me to take them again?
No, I can. Okay,
Yes.
I can remember some of them. Somebody was asking, how do you know that there is lead in your house? So
Yeah.
we mentioned that we can test them in the
Yes,
lab.
you
can,
have to
yes, you
speed
can
it
take the samples and take them in the lab. That's one. But if you have your paint and it's
What
already
kind of lab?
laboratories that can
Laboratory,
test
yes.
for lab. It's also, for example, soil around your house if you want to know if it's contaminated. It's not something that you see. I say, okay, yeah, so it's contaminated. You have to test, right? But there are basic things you can do to make sure they're okay. So some people have, if you painted your house before 2008, 2010, you should be repainting. If it's flaking, remove it and repaint. It shouldn't allow to be inhaling it. The major way to get it is usually inhalation and ingesting it. Yes, you can get it through dermal touch, but dermal contact is a little lower compared to eating and inhaling. So if you have those things, you are being careful. We've mentioned other sources that you can get it. So you're talking about cooking.
How do pregnancy and breastfeeding affect blood lead levels?
Affect blood level. Except, that's not very clear. But now remember, if your house is like we said, the children absorb more than adults. Children absorb up to 40 to 50% of it if it's in food, if it's in the air, more than adults do. Adults will absorb like maybe 10 to 15%, while children absorb not to 40%. So that means you are being careful if you're having a baby. If your paint is flaking, clean it up.
The white chalk that pregnant women eat in our climate.
Yes, yes.
Calabar,
it's not, yeah.
Does it contain
Calabar
lead?
chalk? Yes, it does. It does contain. Some people say, "Oh, edible chalk," but it's not. It's not good to eat it. I know that it helps in nausea and cravings and all that, but it contains, and it's more common in the south. Yeah, you eat it a lot and you feel so good, and it helps you not to vomit. It helps you not to be spitting around. But it contains, because you don't know the source, and it's not something you can see. So as much as possible, avoid it, because it has a way of affecting the children. Fetus in the womb, and we've already mentioned the effects. It can cause a slow development, brain damage, neurological issues, and these are some of these things are manifesting after the child is already born and grown, and then you start having some of those issues.
What about inhalation of refuse being burnt?
No, if there is no lead, then none. But if there is lead, then yes.
Our solar batteries these days, do they contain lead?
So
yes,
hold on, Henry.
Yes.
Before solar
Lead
batteries,
is a
because
major.
that's where it's going to come in. Let's finish with Dr. Chimere. What is the nexus between lead poisoning and menopause? Nandom wants to know. Because he's saying, why? His question is, why might blood lead levels be higher in women after menopause? I mean, I didn't do chemistry. Henry here did chemistry, so yes. So
like, that one is not clear to me.
So
also,
Nanda,
but
you want to send us your question again?
You can send it. But I just know that one of the places that that lead stores in your body, reserves in your body, is in the bones. So it doesn't just go away like that. It's not something that's why you should avoid. It's not something that if you cook your food very well, then the load will die. No, it doesn't. You know, that's what we're talking about, chelation, right? Mm-hmm. So you're taking a substance that binds to it, and then you can urinate it. But it's not like you eat it contaminated.
So chelation works?
Yeah, that's one of the ways to treat lead.
Okay, we have to move.
It's like you're taking a medicine that helps to bind it, and then you can now...
Mr. Ayoleke, I know you are itching to take your minors break.
No,
but
I'm very interested in
this. Please, the question she asked, the recharging of the batteries, the paint. Yeah, Ray, you have your question now.
Yes, of course, the solar batteries.
Yeah. Lead is useful if it is handled safely. The world can still not do without lead. For the battery, that's amazing. In ammunition, bullets, lead is still important. And even the paints, paints now they're doing things to really reduce the level. But there are so many areas, soldering, in technology and all that. So it's still very useful. There are ways to handle lead.
So if you have just solar batteries in your house, is it harmful?
It's not harmful. As it contains lead, it's not harmful. The important thing is this, like you have your battery and all that, or even the one for torch in those days, and not the electrical ones, that we have. Avoid you ingesting them. If lead is not ingested, I don't think there is any, it's not something that flows in the air. It's a heavy metal. And so when we use the heavy metals, like lead, copper, and all that, chromium, those are those heavy metals. They don't, unless they get into the system that they are
But she
harmful.
talked about inhaling.
Yes, when
substance.
it gets into the system, you know, like
Okay.
this soot thing. It's not if a soot, if you inhale this heavy, you know, it's like you have even harmattan dust.
Yes.
If it gets to the system, it causes your
causes-
catarrh.
yes,
It gets
clogs.
into so if it gets into your system through some other, you know, collated, how will I call it, gelated or whatever. Concepts, then it enters your body and all that.
Professor
But if
Kola-
it's not,
Okolala, thank
yeah,
you.
right.
Now it's Miners Week, Mr. Ayoleke. What is this Miners Week all about? That you want us to hear?
Thank you very much. Nigeria Mining Week is a forum that is put together to actually hold at least a 3-day conversation on the Nigerian mining industry, with particular reference to all the issue of regulations, practices, and showcasing the Nigerian endowments for foreign and local investors to come and be part of this Nigerian success story. It has been on for 10 years. This year we are celebrating the 10th edition, landmark edition. Started yesterday with a pre-conference, so many sessions that speak to specific areas on how we can begin to scale up the Nigerian mining industry. We all know that the whole world now is transiting from fossil fuel to green energy. And luckily, Nigeria has the minerals that are very critical to this energy transition. So all these issues have been discussed. And this year we are, like I told you, it's a landmark edition. We are expecting about 3,500 participants with about 100 speakers. And if you go to Abuja Continental now, you see our heavy equipment site, the biggest so far. So this means that it's speaking to the fact that Nigeria, like Prof said that time, is an evolving mining nation. And we are trying to showcase this to the whole world.
The Minister of Solid Minerals is introducing a lot of reforms in this sector. How are you collaborating with that office?
Very well, we are collaborating. This mining I'm talking about, Nigeria, the ministry is the host for the mining week over the years, and it's in partnership with some other agencies like we have the PwC, who develops the content. We have the Fuka Group for South Africa, who are our event organizer. We have NAITI, we have Mining Review Africa. We are coming together and we are collaborating with the government to ensure that all these agendas are well implemented.
So do you see, with this collaboration you talk about now, are we likely to see a change in narrative from what Professor Mwazu, said earlier on about stakeholder, regulator, and you regulator, coming together to change the narrative in the mining sector?
Yes, that's what we are saying. That take for example the issue of the minister has come up with 7-point agenda, and one of them is this issue of addressing illegality in the mining sector and formalization of artisanal miners. We are collaborating. We collaborate with the agencies that has been put in place. That's the mining marshal, to ensure that the mining environment is safe and is being done legally. We are also collaborating with the department in charge of formulation of artisanal miner, which is the ASM department in the ministry. Even the mine's environmental compliance in terms of this CDA, which speaks to the economic and social transfer. The transfer of economic and social benefits to the host communities. All this we are collaborating.
What's the theme this year? The theme of your conference?
The theme for this year is Nigerian mining from progress to global relevance.
I like that. And just my last question for you. Sometimes we hear, sorry, I know we have Professor Mwazu, please just give us a moment. We hear, accidents do happen and you really can't predict when they do happen. But within the mining sector, when they do happen, the death toll, it's something. I don't know. How are you working round, to ensure safety, and also protect the lives of miners?
I think we have been speaking to all this morning. It is just the fact is that we just need to create awareness and to educate people on how to do this mining in a safe way. That's just the only thing.
All right, many thanks. Let's get to Professor Abubakar now as we begin to round up the conversation. I'd like to hear your recommendation, Prof. What can we do really about reducing lead poisoning, and speak to us. What can medical experts also do, to take care of those who eventually get, contaminated or affected by lead?
Okay, first of all, what we can do is for the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders here, particularly both the federal and the state have to do what is right. The miners association, yes, their own is legal, almost everything, but what of the illegal? As you hear, more than 80% is illegal, what is going on. So we need to put in place safety measures so that they can go and operate. See, this mining, illegal mining, is almost, in fact, there is no how it can be stopped. It cannot be stopped. But if it cannot be stopped, let us try to introduce measures that can keep our society safe. And those measures, almost everything is there on our regulation. Black and white is there. The regulations are there, but the enforcement is one of our major problems. There is no enforcement. Almost go to every corner of Zamfara, wherever you go. In fact, there is some times where you see more than 10,000 in one place doing mining. 100 will be buried. Those that will come out, they will come out with one disease or the other. Those are the ones that you see. Some will go to the hospital, some may not. Some may go and affect others. The animals would now be there. People will drink the water. They will go to the rivers. They will now be washing.
Prof,
Prof. This mining.
Hello, sorry,
yes.
Prof. Sorry, Prof. Just in 60 seconds. You said nothing can be done. You are a professor of toxicology. How are you engaging your students and the community within your area, to begin to engage in safe mining?
Safe mining, you see, that's where the issue is. As I said to you, all the regulations are there. The issues are the enforcement. You have to educate people, then you enforce what is there on the regulation. Myself and my group, we have been doing research and we have been doing public lectures to educate our community. That's the best we can do. And let me tell you, even in 2010 when it happens, Nigeria went along and bring people from Canada as experts to come to Zamfara so that they can help in this mining and poisoning that was going on. When they came, they said, where are the local experts? In fact, that was when I was contacted, not because they want to contact me. But since then, we have been, in fact, on mining and illegal mining, lead poisoning alone, myself and my group, we have over 15 to 20 publications on this.
Many thanks, Professor Abubakar. Because of time, I think we appreciate you. Let's just get Dr. Chimere
in 60 seconds.
Your final words as we round up the conversation.
All right. So it's important that we mention that there is going to be lead poisoning prevention week, which is starting from 19th to 25th. So the week is supposed to be week that you create awareness on lead poisoning, and that's why this is very important.
Who can attend?
No, it's just a week. Different organizations are going to be organizing different events, raising awareness in communities, how to be safe, how to make sure their food is clean.
Dr.
So even nutritional.
We have to go.
All right. Many thanks, to everyone for joining us for this conversation. Professor Benga Okunlola, President, Geological Society of Africa, immediate past head of Department of Geology at University of Ibadan, and former President, Nigeria Mining and Geosciences Society, and consultant to the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development. It was indeed a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Many thanks for sharing your insights with us. Dr. Chimere May Ohajinwa, environmental toxicologist and public health expert, team lead, CSACO Foundation for Sustainable Health and Environment. Thank you once again for being our guest. The Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Gusau, Professor Muazu Abubakar, and Professor of Toxicology. Thank you, Prof. We hope that you continue to do the needful from your end. and also Dele Ayonlake,
Ayonleke.
President, Miners Association of Nigeria. Thank you. Wish you all the best in your mining week, and we hope Nigeria will be better for it.
All right. That's, sorry, we can't take that again. That's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I'm Henry John. Don't touch the dial.